Hi, physics fam. I am going to walk you through the kinematic equations. These are going to be the equations that we use for motion. The ones that you're seeing on your screen are going to be accessible to you at any point. They are on the formula sheet that is on our homepage in Canvas. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to talk about are these first two equations. So this is the equation that we have talked about when we are looking at the slope of a position, time graph, when we have like constant velocity, for example. This bar over the V for velocity represents average. So this is going to be the average velocity equation. So we're only going to use that if we are asked to solve for average velocity, or if our velocity is constant. That's what we're going to use, because we know that a constant velocity will also just give us our average velocity. I've connected these two because this version here is not specific to average velocity, but it does rearrange the variables a little bit, and this only occurs when we have constant velocity. So again, this is going to be where we have a velocity that we're solving for, and there's no acceleration here. So we'll only use those top two if there's no acceleration in the problem. Then when we look at these last three, these are going to be the equations that we use when we do have acceleration. So this first one, we have final position, initial velocity, time, acceleration, and then time again. So the only variable that we're missing here is our final velocity. So we know that we would start at a velocity. If there's acceleration, there's a change in velocity, so we would have a different final velocity than initial. We don't have final velocity here. So this is going to be the equation we use if we have the variables listed and we don't have the final velocity. If we look at the second one, this is the equation that we learned about when we talked about the definition of acceleration, our change in velocity over our change in time. Another way that you'll commonly see this written is V final equals V initial plus A delta t. So that's just rearranging these variables. All we did was multiply the time to the other side. So here it is, acceleration times time. And then instead of listing this as delta V, we did V final minus V initial. And we just kind of separated those. So a lot of times you'll see this here. So either way that you want to write it is totally fine. The things that are missing here are displacement. So we don't have delta x, or if we wanted to write them out individually, that means we don't have x final or x initial in our problem, or we don't need to use them, right? So we might be given some of these quantities, but if we have all of the rest of these, then it doesn't particularly matter whether we have the position or not. So then the last one here is the only equation that doesn't have time in it. So we have final velocity, initial velocity, acceleration, and then our displacement. Every other equation on this formula sheet has time in it, so we are missing time for this one. So delta t. All right, so these are all the kinematic equations. Check out some of the other videos to work through some problems using them. Good luck, physics fam!